Dan?
I don't know that there's any commission that we haven't changed what they recommended at some point. I mean, I appreciate all the work that the Farmers Market Commission is doing, but, you know, I don't think that any commission comes in here thinking that I mean, sometimes maybe they think that they've hit the homer with it, but I think every commission comes in probably think, okay, the council's going to put their stamp on it with whatever, you know, and this may be our stamp. You know, we haven't voted on it yet, so I don't know. But, you know, I again, I don't think, and I wouldn't say that we don't appreciate the commission's work if we do vote this direction. I think there's still the bulk of the policy there that they did work on, and there's still good items in it.
Walter?
Mr. Mayor, I'd call for the question.
Okay, the question has been called for, so what we're voting on, folks, is the amendment. John made that motion, Walter second. We'll start with you, Art.
Aye. Aye.
No.
No.
Aye.
Okay, it passed 3-2 for a 200-mile radius. Now we'll go with the vote on the motion that Tom made to accept.
The vote on the motion. Vote on the motion as amended.
As amended.
As amended.
To adopt the policies with the exception of the 100 turning into 200.
That's correct.
mile radius.
Mhm. And we will start with a roll from John.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Okay, and that passed 5-0. So what we've got is the resolution with the change. The only change on it is the 200 miles.
Well, and then
That's not true, Mayor.
striking that
I
parentheses.
have another motion to make regarding the resolution, if I may.
Okay.
After a question to Kathleen, with the change to 200, are the two, I think there are two places where exceptions are noted in what's been brought before us. Are those exceptions any longer necessary?
For the arts director and the manager to make?
Correct. Yes, those two. One, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
One is authority to grant an exception to the 100-mile air limitation of rest with the arts director. That's on page 1. I would propose
not needed.
that's no longer needed. And the other one is, that I think, is under resale produce vendors. There's an exception there that also includes the 100 air mile radius language.
If I may, the motion as
Here.
passed merely got rid of the 100 and inserted 200.
I understand, sir. Thank you. Is the second exception applicable with the change to 200?
I think there's blueberries and asparagus within 200, and I don't think it'll need to be resold.
So
Is that your question?
I'm prepared to make a motion to strike the exception language in two places. I'm looking for clarification on whether or not I do more harm
Your Honor,
than just cleaning it
That
up.
Hang on a
requires a
second, Walter.
motion for reconsideration.
No, I'm not reconsidering anything.
You're amending the,
I am not.
Something that was already approved. That's what he's saying.
I'm not, I guess I'm missing it.
If I may?
Yeah, go ahead.
We changed 100 to 200. That's done. I'm preparing to make a motion.
The motion was
And the
to pass the
rest.
policies
We
with
passed the
the
policies.
amendment of 100 to 200.
And that's what we
So all I'm saying,
don't need it.
Walter, is that
I mean, you don't need
if
it.
you're desiring to amend the policy further, correct?
Apparently.
They'll be in there.
So
I thought we just added 100 to 200. If it included passing the whole thing,
that was the motion.
Yeah,
That was the
that was-
original
that was
motion.
yeah.
That was the motion that John amended. So I'm sorry.
so with everybody voting unanimously to do it, can anybody call it back up?
You can vote to reconsider it and adjust that if you like.
Because I would like to clean out the exception language, if Kathleen agrees with me that it no longer applies. And secondly, I'd like to clean up the appeal language that Art pointed out earlier, before we just walk away from this.
Okay. In order to reconsider, someone who voted on the winning side of the motion must bring it up for reconsideration. Hang on, can we take just a second?
Yes.
Okay, I think we got it.
Okay.
If you made a motion to amend the policy that was just passed by the council.
Hey, can we hold it
remove
down out
those
there,
things,
please?
Then that would be,
Please sit down.
Okay? So you can do it by just an amendment at this point.
Okay, which is
Amend the
where,
policy to remove those.
which is where I was going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I got an answer to my first exception item. I'm not sure we were clear on whether or not the second one no longer applies regarding the resale part.
I think probably only the first one.
Okay, go again. Thank you.
My interest, if I
Yep.
may,
Yeah, go ahead.
my interest is in cleaning out exception language if it no longer applies. And the first one is authority, quote unquote, authority to grant an exception to the 100-mile area limitation rests with the arts director. Since we have changed the 100 to 200, I would propose that that exception would no longer be applicable.
Correct. As long as we're following through with, there would be no resale. Because there's two things there.
And then the second one has to do with resale.
Okay?
And in that language, the exception is to do with blueberries and asparagus grown outside the 100 air mile radius. Well, we've now included up to 200. So is that exception still needed or not? And if it is, I'm okay. I'm just trying to clean
Well,
this up.
the history of the market, the two vendors that did bring in blueberries in volumes were both reselling those blueberries, and they were within the 200 miles. They weren't the growers. So the problem comes in if we don't get a replacement vendor to supply the customer with that volume of blueberries, we might have a problem.
They might not come at all.
Well, no, I
Because
think,
you couldn't resell them, they're not going to bring them.
right.
So I think we need to retain the exception language there.
Okay.
I think you need a little bit if we don't get a supplier within the 200 mile to meet the customer need.
Okay, then, thank you. So therefore, Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Okay,
I would make a motion that we drop the fourth paragraph under market policies on page 1 of the farmers market policies previously approved. That's the one beginning authority to grant an exception to the 100, et cetera, that full paragraph. And secondly, in the same motion, that the fifth paragraph of Appendix 5 that begins, "There shall be no appeal," be reworded to read, "Appeal of a decision regarding penalties made by the market manager by the aggrieved person or entity may be made by communicating their concern in writing to the Moscow Arts Director, City Supervisor," et cetera, as written in the paragraph.
I'll second.
is that, you done with your motion?
I'm done. That's the motion. And
Okay,
John,
everybody get what the motion is and what the second,
Do we not need a motion to reconsider?
there's a motion and a second on this, but if there's discussion amongst the rest of
No,
the
he
group,
was
they can discuss it.
amending the policy, not.
Yeah.
Yeah, the motion was to strike out the fourth, under market policies, the fourth paragraph on page 1 and the fifth paragraph on Appendix 5,
Modified.
to modify to
Modify.
what Walter had read it. Did you get that modification, Stephanie?
Could you restate the modification on the Appendix 5?
the fifth paragraph shall begin with the word "appeal," not in quotes, "of a decision regarding penalties made by the market manager by the aggrieved person or entity may be made by communicating their concerns in writing," et cetera, as written in the paragraph.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess my comment would be, stating concerns, when you say there's an appeal, do you mean that that decision of the market manager can be reversed by? Appeal means there's the ability to either affirm or reverse, or modify the decision somehow. Is that what you intend?
my intent is to clean up what Art pointed out, which is it says first there's no appeal, and then it tells them how to appeal.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not, if I may.
Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, I don't, an appeal, at least to our legalistic minds over here, means that you have the ability to have a decision reviewed and then reverse modified or affirmed. The way I read this, and I believe the intent was, even though there's no appeal, you can't change that decision that was made on the ground. You may communicate your concerns to the market manager's boss, the arts director's boss, me.
Without any hope of reversal.
Exactly. Of
I'm
that
trying to-
particular
I am
decision.
trying to
So you
change
wish
that.
to create an appeal?
Correct.
Okay, then, in that case, we will need, I would want the city attorney to set up an appeals process, because who is going to set up that appeal? Who do you want to hear? Does the city council want to hear those appeals? If the market manager, for instance, says, no, you can't set up here, I want you to set up there, is the council going to want that decision ultimately to come to you in a council meeting? Or is it, if the market manager makes a decision, you can appeal that decision to the arts director?
This is under Appendix 5. It says farmers market penalties. It has nothing to do with where you're setting up. It's a penalty. Appendix 5, farmers market penalties.
Gary, could we do this? Could I make a motion that that paragraph be reviewed by staff and brought back at the next council meeting with a proposal regarding creating an appeal process?
Yeah, what you could do is you could pass the market policies as amended tonight by resolution with the direction that you wish Appendix 5 to be reviewed by the city attorney and the market commission, arts director.
Staff?
Yeah.
You bet, and bring that back to administrative committee for review and then to be added as an appendix to the policy.
That works for me. I still want to, so that would be.
That's
the-
also removing your other part.
But I also want to remove that fourth paragraph on page 1 of the
Right.
market policy.
I think we can decipher the motion.
Can the seconder decipher?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay.
We clear on everything?
So,
Everybody clear?
Bill, can I make a statement here? This was our first, I just want to give everybody a little history here. These policies were created in 12. They were they weren't even reworked in 13. We're going into 14. As far as the penalty process, we've gotten through the first penalty on several vendors. We haven't made it to a second penalty or a third penalty. So the minimal effort that it takes to do a first penalty has worked between two staff, myself and the market manager. So I just want to give you that little brief history. So this was a first crack at a penalty process. It has never been altered since 12. But just to give you a little history, we've only made it to first penalty, and it's corrected errors. And it's worked in a very limited way. The language that's on the page on Appendix 5 could be improved, but you have to have a step process. So I'd be glad to work.
I'm not
With legal.
addressing the step process.
Yep, it's just the
Many
verbiage.
things that occur in this city are appealable somewhere.
Okay.
Police chief execution orders of a dog are appealable to the city supervisor. Other things are appealable to city council. All I'm trying to do is create the appeal process because Art pointed out the fact that it appeared that that paragraph contradicted itself.
Okay.
Which we're really not doing, you guys are not doing anything with that tonight anyway.
Correct. Let them work on it.
Okay, we ready to vote? I'll start with Art.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay, it passed 4-1 to accept it. And Stephanie, I guess you've got it the way it's wrote. Basically, you're just striking out paragraph, or the fourth, on under market policies, the fourth paragraph on page 1. And that for further review, fifth paragraph on appendix 5. That's how I got it.
There you go.
We're okay. We're done with that. We're moving on, folks. Thank you, guys.
If I may, we still have a resolution that needs to be passed.
You did, yeah, you ought to read it.
Okay, it's Resolution 2014 something. -05, is that correct? Okay. We just passed Resolution number 2014-05,
Well, you got to read the title.
which has to do with the resolution of the City of Moscow, Idaho, a municipal corporation of the state of Idaho, amending the City of Moscow, Idaho farmers market policies included herein and incorporating them herein by this reference, providing that these resolutions be effective upon its passage, approval, and publication according to law. Anything else, Gary?
No, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
We're